Hello, hello, YouTube. Let's try to see if my new stream is running in YouTube. Send into chat. Just connecting final pieces. And then this is not available. Actually can do. Can go Discord. Actually, we'll go. Need to create a new YouTube scene. Okay, we have audio. We have background. Now we're gonna have cameras. And now we just need to get input. Yes, perfect. Right here. Oops, that's the wrong one. Nope, no. Move here, here. Let me just put it here. Perfect. Looks good. Okay. So, the idea is I'll try for half an hour to see how that works. So I see stream is just a couple more seconds. So I see stream is running. I see we have the, okay, looks like analytics. We have an edit. Okay, we have all of the things available. OBS is also running, seems to be smooth and steady. That's good. We have chat. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's take a timer. Let's do some stuff. Okay. How do I want to answer these things? I think I want to answer them as I understand them, and then I will check what the GPT is suggesting me. Okay, so question. Can you explain the difference between the relational database and the NoSQL database, and give an example of when you would choose one over the other? If I'm working on e-commerce project, I would use the relational database because it allows a lot of connections from the users. It allows fast, like I/O operations for inserts, updates, and deletes. And then I would use the NoSQL database when I would want to create a database which operates in the documents. So like MongoDB or Elasticsearch is not really a database, but it could be. What is the answer? So the answer, relational database, structured and use predefined schemas. Oh, now, next question. This is just your opinion if you're just talking about the schemas. Can you describe a time when you had to work with the large data set? What challenges did you face and how did you overcome them? When I'm working with the big data sets, usually I follow one simple principle is you need to have data as small as possible. Make sure you're scanning as little as possible. This will increase your performance dramatically. And now let's try to answer to see how the ChatGPT will react. I would use divide and conquer, where I would reduce amount of data my nodes need to scan to increase query performance. My answer, let's see. That's a solid approach. Here's how you might structure your answer. When working with the large data sets, one of the key challenges is ensuring the query's performance don't become bottleneck to address. Okay, so he's just like repeating what was your answer? Here's the answer I provided. Answer when working with the large. Okay, I think that doesn't work this way. Next question, because if I answer it, it's not able to answer itself. How would you ensure data quality and integrity when processing data in ETL pipeline? How would you ensure data quality and integrity when processing data in ETL extract, transform, load pipeline? I have no idea how you would do something like that. Or actually, like, it's very depends on what you're trying to do. Like, for example, what I would do, okay. How would you ensure data quality and integrity then processing data in ETL pipeline? So this is an ETL pipeline, right? So you're pulling data from some sort of, most likely from some sort of like the third-party API. So one of the things which I would do, I would make sure that the third-party API is always answering my question, and when like answering my request, and when it's not able to answer the request, then I would say that like the data is not valid. Another thing which I would do, I would run the anomaly detections against the data sets from the previous dates periods to sort of identify if the data matches the certain pattern that it should. So let's write an answer. Okay, what is your answer? Let's start this way this time. And then we'll say my answer. I would make sure that data source is live and returns data. Additionally, I would implement anomaly detection, where I would check data quality against data set of previous brief periods. Okay. There is a okay, so that's a practical approach. Here's how you might structure your answer. To ensure the data quality integrity in ETL pipeline, I would start by making sure that the data source lives and returns data as expected. Yes. Next question. So that's the thing with all the questions, like you don't know if your answer of the question is correct or not, because it all depends from the person who asked the question to identify if it's correct or not correct. This is why, like job interviews is really, really complicated to nail, I guess, because it's first of all, like it depends if you really like what you're seeing. Yeah. Oh, just a second. I need to check something on the stream. We'll get back in a second. Yeah. Check, check. Okay, I'm back. I was needed to look into something. Oh, that's amazing. We have 0 viewers. Hooray. Tiger. Just trying to. Yeah, I think it's good. Does my stream is still going or only it's because it's. Yeah, looks like it's going. That's good. Hooray. Okay, so I'm done with whatever the issue was. I can now continue with whatever I wanted to do here. So let's go. Let's answer a couple more questions. Can you explain the concept of data normalization and why it's important in database design? Data normalization is usually when you have data in different forms. There is like a different number of those. I don't really recall the exact versions, but the idea you sort of like creating fact tables and dimensional tables, and the idea of that is, again, you're reducing amount of data you need to scan because, you know, like, but you're introducing the joins. So sometimes you need to actually figure out if the data normalization is really what you want to do. So it depends on the database you're working. Let's enter. Data normalization is great for reducing overall amount of data. What additionally I said there? Usually we are creating star or snowflake schema with fact and dimensional tables. This allow to optimize for faster reads and better data management. Is my answer correct? Your answer touches on some important concepts, but it could be refined a bit for accuracy and clarity. Of course, here's more details. Revised answer. Data normalization is a process used database designed to reduce redundancy and improve data integrity. The main idea is organize the data into related tables to minimize duplication, ensure that each piece of data is stored only once. This makes it easier to maintain and update the data. Normalization typically involves dividing database into 2 or more tables, defining relationship between them. The process is usually carried out in several steps known as forms. Normal, 1, 2, and 3rd. Normal form, each with their own rules, eliminated redundancy and dependency. In the context of data warehousing, you mentioned star and snowflake schema, which are commonly used for organized data in a way that optimizes for querying and reporting. While normalization is excellent for redundancy data, redundancy and ensuring consistency, it's important to balance it with the need of efficiency, querying performance. Yes, let's go. Next question. Looks like I would not be able to get job in this with this person. How would you approach optimized slow running query in a large database? Oh man, there is no. My answer. Okay, how would you approach how would you approach optimizing a slow running query in the large database? Make sure that there is index added. Check what queries are running and make sure that index added up for those queries. Make sure that there is no full table scans. See if I could normalize the data by, like for normalization, introducing the fact and dimensional tables. Let's see if that works. Okay, I would first check query logs and identify if there is a full table scans. If yes, well, if there is a table scan, which is actually needed to do, see if it can be rewritten. Query, see if query can be rewritten. Next, I check for indexes and make sure each query hit correct indices. What else I said? So I said I want to check if there is a full table scans, try to reduce those. I would check for if tables which queries are using is in star or snowflake schemas. So what do you think about my answer? Let's see how that goes. So your answer is on the right track and covers some critical steps. Query optimization. Here's how you can redefine. Check query execution plan. Right, yeah. Review and optimize indexes. Yes. Rewrite the query. Yes. Scheme optimization. Yes. Consider partitioning and sharding. Well, okay, I forgot about this one. Of course, like you would need to do partitioning and sharding. That's a good idea. I agree. This I missed. Next step. Not step, question. Can you explain the concept of data partitioning in the database and how it can be used to improve the performance? So again, the data partitioning in the databases allows the query engine to reduce amount of data it needs to read to answer the question. So if your predicate matches the partition, then your queries will be very optimal. So that's sometimes a very good thing to implement. So for example, if you have like some dimension or like value which is very often used, you could use that as a partition value, and in this case you could improve the performance of the overall infrastructure and sort of like the thing. So let's try. Can you play the concept? Okay, so now I will answer here. Partitions is used to reduce amount of data query engine needs to read. This can one of the best partitions is date, so each day would be in separate partition. Additional partitions can be different dimensions, which is mostly used by query engine. Also, their cardinality should be limited. So for example, days is kind of like feels like unlimited, but we know the pattern of the day, so that sort of like doesn't really follow. Is my answer correct? Your answer is on the right track. Again, only on the right track. I need to learn to answer the questions better, but it could be a chance to the more detail and precision. Here's the more refined explanation. Data partition is a technique to use to divide large data into smaller ones. Manageable pieces, call it partition. Its partition can be stored and managed separately, which helps reduce amount of data the query engine needs to scan when executing a query. Uncommon strategy partitions is data type, reducing data scan, parallel processing. Yeah, parallel processing, that's true. Like if you're selecting from the multiple partitions, that's in improved maintenance. I don't know about this one. Okay. Next question. Please add questions from AWS related to data engineering. Is there a way to... Let me try. If I go here, right here, that's the link. Hey, hey. Yeah, this is... Hey, welcome. So what I'm doing, if you're interested, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask or something. What I'm doing is I'm asking ChatGPT to generate me a data engineering question. I'm trying to answer that. So I found it pretty interesting. And then I basically compared the answers to what ChatGPT is offering. And this sort of like helps me a little bit to improve. So, you know, like I think it's a very good idea if, let's say, like for me, it's just like fun. But like if you're like a you know, like a junior data engineer or something, or like if you want to, you know, like prepare for your next role, I think it's always good to sort of like, you know, like get random questions and see how they go. So for example, how you would design a data pipeline using AWS services to ingest, process, and store streaming data in real time. So what I would do, there is a multiple options, many ways how you can do that. I think what they want to hear me saying is the couple keywords, and the keywords would be AWS Kinesis, AWS Glue, and also you would want to have the AWS S3. So my answer would be my answer, AWS Kinesis for streaming, AWS Glue, and Glue is AWS Glue for ETLs and data processing, AWS Glue catalog for data meta store, AWS S3 for storage. For ML, there is other services. AWS Sage, I believe. Also, they have Athena, which you can use. Additionally, there is other services like EMR, but it depends on what is actual use case. How is my answer? What do you think? How is my answer? Or like a product manager who needs to ask better question of the engineer. Yeah, that's also true. So I was thinking like it's very often your luck in the interviews basically depends on the person who is asking the questions. Like very often the person would be asking or like asking question, and then he would have in mind the answer he would want to get, and then he would basically, like, if he's not hearing the answer he wants to hear, he would just like ignore you completely, which is really, really frustrating in my opinion. So anyway, so what does it say? So your answer demonstrate a good understanding. Yay, something good, because before it was just like, yeah, it could be better. So demonstrate a good understanding of the services, but it can be, of course, yeah, but it can be improved by structuring it more clearly and providing a bit more details on how these services work together in data pipeline. Here's the defined version. So the kinesis for the data streaming, ideal for capturing blah blah blah, the glue for the like ETLs, glue catalog, S3, Athena. Yeah, exactly. It's not like it's not curious. I think they very often they don't know what they're hiring. This, and yeah. I was wondering whatever the streaming was, a truly real time or small batching. I mean, I think real time is micro batching, right? Because if you think about that, like you run your ETL on the daily basis, like, right, so you batch ETL of 1 day. Then you say like, oh, look, like for me to parse the data, like takes, let's say 5 minutes. You say like, yeah, 5 minutes per day, it's fine. But then you have much more data. So now your ETL to parse, like a day might take 8 hours. And you say like, well, business doesn't want to wait 8 hours for the data to be ready. Can we do something about it? And you basically say like, oh, like if we would run this ETL on that hourly basis, instead of doing that per 8 hours, we actually could, because 1 hour to complete takes like, I don't know, like 30 minutes or 20 minutes, we actually can have data ready by the like 20th minute of each hour. So you basically would have data like much sooner, and then and then everything again is fine, everybody's happy. But then going forward, what happens is like, oh, now we have so much more data that even hourly even hourly processing is not good enough. So you could go and say like, okay, I will be doing every 5 minutes, and then you can go every minute, and then eventually you basically just go, yeah, screw it, just do a streaming, and that's your micro batching, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. So I think so the benefit of the yeah, I mean, the streaming has its own purpose in the data engineering. I think what you always want to concentrate and look into is the batching. If the company says like, hey, we want to move all our analytics to streaming, they don't understand what they're talking. Because the reality is that, like, let's say you are in the industry which, I don't know, do something, right? Like you sell something, and then, right, let's say you are in the affiliate business, right? So the user comes to your site, then user clicks out, he gets out. And now how do you know like if this user converted or not? Like, did you get money because like did you bought something at the provider site which you send it to, or it didn't? And you can only know that like like maybe in a month when the provider to which you send the user will send you a report. So the real time just doesn't exist, because I mean, you cannot have real time in some cases. You can have an estimates, but yeah. Anyways, I have a very special feeling about real-time processing analytics. It has a purpose, but very often people just need batching. That's it. Like 99% of the time, batching does the job, in my opinion. Next question. Something about SQL. Given a table orders with the order ID, customer ID, order date, and total amount, how you would write SQL query to find top 5 customers by total spending? Oh, so that would be select sum total by the customer ID and order by the amount you spend. So select customer ID, sum total amount as total from orders, group by customer ID, order by total, descending, and limit 5. Your query is correct and effectively finds the top 5. Hooray! That's good. So tell me about yourself, if you want. How did you end up in all of this data engineering stuff, and in like our Discord, and yeah. Okay, next question. Can you explain the difference between inner join and the left join in SQL and provide example when you would use each? Inner join connects two tables on each row, and then if the data is not exist in one row, so the data doesn't exist, I don't know how to explain that. I know how they work. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how. I know what I mean, how they work. I don't know how to explain them. This is like one of the, my opinion, bad questions. Like when I would be asking questions, very often what I do, I just say like, okay, if I write an, like the inner join or the left join, how the data would look like. And this is, my table A, my table B. When you join them on the inner join or the left join, give me the result. I mean, that's the practical thing. Like, what's the purpose of knowing the exact answer? Yeah. Oh, really? Labas. What are you doing so late? Yeah, tell me more. I don't remember any of that. Okay, so... Okay. Write me a message on LinkedIn so I could actually put the face to the name. Yeah, so the inner join returns only the rows that have matching values. Okay, yeah. Okay, so the inner, that's a right way to answer. The difference between the inner join, left join, and right join or outer join, inner join returns the matching rows, while the left join would return all the rows from one table and only the matching rows from another table. And then if the data doesn't match, it would return you nulls. That sort of, I think, is the actual answer. I'm just thinking which Carolus. But it's fine. You don't need to answer. Yeah, I kind of thought that's you. So yeah, welcome. Right? How is the VAS doing? Yeah, I don't know. I have a couple Carolus in like in my network, but yeah, I don't know. So I will be. I have a question. I'm very actually curious about that. So I'm actually curious very much about VAS. So you guys doing a great job by creating, like the massive storage and things like that. And one of the selling points is that, hey, like you buy us, you buy the hardware, and then we have this amazing, like software. But not only that, you can use like the cheap SSDs, and basically, like you can run like an infrastructure on top of that. And then the next time I see you guys introducing that you are selling your infrastructure as a rental in AWS. And it was like, I don't get it. Like, if the selling point is the cheap SSDs, why you are in AWS? Because in AWS, like you just basically get the infrastructure as is. Yeah, I was very confused about that. But yeah, anyways. So once again, so welcome, right? Okay, next question. How would you design a relational database schema in a simple e-commerce application, including tables, products, customers, orders? Please describe the tables and their relationship. Nah, I don't want to do that. It's a little bit, it's not with my head. Too tired for doing this once. Next question, but this time about, I don't know, about something else. Yeah, yeah. This is what I kind of thought, right? Like, it's sometimes because, like, one of the things which I found really interesting, like, like you were saying, like we can give you a catalog and then you can connect us to Trino and you can work. And that was really, really an interesting, like selling point. Yeah. So maybe in, like in another life, in another company, yeah. Yeah. Or maybe sometime in the future, you never know, right? So anyway, so what's kind of like the idea for you joining the Discord in general? Because what we're trying to do here is just sort of like a share the knowledge about the different things. And I don't know, like, are you eager to like learn something, do something? Like, feel free to share or not share, up to you. Can you explain the concept of the data lake and how it's different from the traditional data warehouse? Data lake is a storage layer, unstructured or semi-structured data, and data warehouse is the actual data warehouse where you run your data workloads. However, these days, data lakes have migrated towards being more similar to the data warehouse than what it was intentionally created. However, it requires to deal with some problems, but what the data lakes give us is unlimited scalability for the storage using S3 or VAST. What is your answer? Because my answer is incorrect. A centralized repository that allows you to store. Oh, look, not true. I almost got it. I was expecting it will say something else. Okay. Data warehouse BI. Yeah, okay. That's nice. Next one. What are the key components of successful ETL pipeline and how do you ensure that it's reliable and scalable? So how do you ensure that it doesn't break and customers doesn't come to you complaining that they're missing data? It doesn't break and customers of your pipeline do not complain. This is my answer. Is it good? Quality checks, error handling, scalability. Yeah, I guess you need to answer all. Okay, give me a question for, I don't know. Give me a question for data architect, what that would look like. Anyway, I really appreciate you joining. Thank you very much. I'm just trying to sort of like see how the, like YouTube streams are going and stuff like that. How do you approach design data architecture that balances the need for data governance and security with the flexibility required for data exploration and innovation? How do you approach to design the data architecture that balances the need of data governance, security with flexibility required data exploration and innovation? Okay. Yeah, no worries about that. All good. Yeah, welcome. I will not pretend. I mean, whoever created the... I currently own a product stuff for database and engine. I don't know what that means, but fine, doesn't matter. I've been in so Echelon's HDFS outbound guy engineering years ago. Oh, so you were the ones who created the HDFS? That's awesome. How do you approach it? All right. Yeah, so how do you approach? So I personally believe that one of the best approaches of how you can work with data is through the SQL and giving the SQL interface to everyone to pull the data out. Now, when you have a single gateway as a SQL, you actually have all the necessary tools with the airbag to actually control the access layers of all the different data sets. Now, when it comes to the security of the data, I mean, that also reduces the risk because that's a single entryway, so you can basically just make sure. The best way, in my opinion, what you can do is just make sure that you don't have confidential or like personal private data in the cluster which is accessible by everyone, and just basically create a PII bubble, like create confidential information bubble, because this data needs to be treated differently. Very often you don't need for your analytics PII data at all, so these things must be separated, and then you're only dealing with the data which is available for everyone, like logs or something like that, and it's not really that bad in my opinion. What do you think of the DBT here? DBT is an interesting tool. I think DBT is okay when you have a single database and it allows you sort of like a build, like the pipeline based on that. I personally not really a big fan of DBT. Reason for that is I kind of like creating my tables. So maybe I need to rewatch DBT once more again, because the first time when I looked at the DBT, they basically were building on top of views and materialized views. And I didn't really like this approach because at that time we used something else, and then like the views and materialized views wasn't really an option for us to use. So I found that DBT is not the thing which I want to use. Another thing of the DBT which I didn't liked at that time is that we actually have a concept of like data warehouse and data lake, and our pipelines is usually interconnected between those two, so the data is flowing between the data warehouse and the data lake back and forth. We also have like MySQL stuff which just flows around, so the DBT then would be just a tool for like data warehouse or data lake, and it's kind of like would not do everything, and because it doesn't do everything what we need, it's kind of like not really necessary in the way. But yeah, I might need to review that. Do you guys mask or just full ACL rows columns? Yeah, so I know about the masking of the columns. We just don't bring the data to be available to the people, right? So the idea is that you just have the bubble, PAI bubble, confidential bubble, and you don't give access to random folks to this data, and that's it, and you don't need to mask. Like, this is how we look into that. If I need to mask a column in this document, then this document shouldn't be available to everyone, and that's it. And then if someone wants to just get some additional information from it, we build a special exports where we just export the field which they need, so we don't really mask columns. But yeah, I don't know if that's a smart way, but that's the way how we're doing that. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they changed. Maybe the views is not the only thing. I kind of like felt it sort of like you limiting to yourself to a single infrastructure, which is not really that bad, especially right now. Like you could take Trino as an example, and you can use the DBT, and you kind of can build everything, I would think, right? Like you should be able to just point to the different catalogs and you kind of like interconnected between. But what we're noticing as well, sorry, even when you have like things like Trino, which allows you to connect to the multiple sources, it still uses the same JDBC driver. So for example, if you just need to move like a small amount of data from like one data warehouse to like to Trino or to data lake or reverse, what we notice, what makes much more sense, is basically export from your data warehouse into S3 and then import data using Trino directly from S3. And that works like multiple times faster than just relying on JDBC driver. So just this question for me, so this DB stuff which you're mentioning, so this is it your own stuff, or is it still related with the company you're working at? I think I misunderstood this one. Oh, by the way, what I found really good is DuckDB. I wasn't like I checked it out. Is amazing. I guess got it. Yeah. So look, this is amazing. Exit. No, have you ever heard of DuckDB? You should have, right? CD stuff. CD DuckDB. Nope, not here. Okay. Oh yeah. Then you know, right? I found it recently and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And now I'm basically like having the plan to have a conversation with my engineers, that not engineers actually, basically have a conversation and offer them to use DuckDB as a tool to connect the data from the different data sources when they cannot do some things. So yeah, but this is fine. Like if you need to deal with the massive data sets, you go to the databases, which we have for data warehouses. This is for just, you pull 10 megabytes from this, you pull 10 megabytes from there, you need to join them or do something and then export into Excel. That's it, perfect. Yeah, exactly. It's just like for, like for the small stuff. This is what I think is amazing. Yeah, this is perfect. Like that's it, amazing. And I saw they kind of like creating a new SQL approach, which in my opinion is stupid, but yeah, doesn't matter. But still, very happy, very great tool. Yeah, exactly. Like it's for like, because very often what you get, like what I see people struggling is they would be like, oh, I need to take just like this 10,000 rows and I need to join to this data set which has like 100,000 rows, and we're talking like less than a gigabyte of data set. Like everyone's laptop is at least like 32 gigabytes. It fits 32 times in memory to run. So yeah, it's really amazing how far your local compute like yeah increased. Next question. Yeah, how do you approach integrating disparate data sources and scalable and maintainable way within a large organization? I don't know if this is what it's asking, but what I would do, I would add Kafka in the middle. I would add Kafka in the middle to collect data from all the disparate, I don't know what disparate word means, data sources. Is that correct? Yeah, I guess it was I guess it just was asking for this one, so could be. Anyways, okay, so let's ask next question about something else. How do you ensure data quality and consistency when working with multiple data sources in a distributed environment? No idea. How? Oh, no, I was thinking you're asking them some sort of like a Java technical approach. Ugh. I mean, yeah. It was like distributed environment. It was like, okay, distributed systems. Yeah, maybe it's just too late. But yeah, like data validation, cleaning, schema management, the duplication. Yeah, sometimes. So this is what is interesting. So this question, for example, if someone would ask me this one in the like this one, if someone would ask me in the job interview, I mean, I could do the same, right? Like, okay, so I could say like, can you elaborate more? What do you mean? Right. Yeah. I think, yeah, I was expecting too much. Yeah. The question is getting it. Okay, so suddenly the question is asking how you would maintain a high standards of data quality. Okay, that's a different question. Like, how do you maintain the high standards? So, like, first of all, you hire great data engineers. And consistently when you're dealing with the data from multiple sources. Yeah, okay, makes sense. Now I get it. Next question. How do you make humans do what humans refuse to do? Is this a question for me? If yes, you motivate them. You basically prove them why they need to do something, what they don't sometimes want to do. You promise them a better world. You first believe yourself in these things, and then people will follow. And then if people refuse to do that, well, then you need to try a little bit harder. But if they still refuse to do that, then you try a little harder and eventually fire them, I guess. I don't know. You? How you would make humans do what humans refuse to do? How do you approach building a data model that supports both historical data analysis and real-time data processing? How do you approach building a data model that supports both? I would use Apache. This is what it's asking. Flink and maybe Apache Spark. You need to have a place to join both data sets in one environment. Yeah, and actually, like I think very often, like if it's all the question of how do you present the problem. Like it takes so it takes so much time to convincing people about the things what they need, like for example what they should do or what they like what they should do to make the things better. And the first thing, like everyone has their own things which they need to do, and they don't really want to do what they ask them to do, but then eventually just like it's just like like you're just being enthusiastic yourself about it, say like this will be amazing, and then people just follows you. That's really, I think, amazing when you're able to basically consolidate everyone for a big task And this really, really works out. This is a great feeling. This is like, yeah. So I was right, yes, the solid, you're right, highlighting the importance of integration, both historical and real-time data on right environment. Here's how you might expand your answer. Yes, unify data environments. Well, but this is sort of like an extra things. Yeah. How is your organization doing, if I may ask? All good? How do you manage and optimize the cost of cloud-based data infrastructure while ensuring performance and scalability? The cost of cloud-based data infrastructure while ensuring if it's storage. So, ooh, that's nice. You have so much money, you need someone to count that for you. That's great. Congratulations. And how are you yourself over there? Happy? All good? Yeah, so in the cloud-based data, how do you make sure about the cost? So first of all, hey Tucker. So for the S3, I would check if you could apply some sort of like, like the different storage. How do you call storage? Basically, if you can storage classes, I believe that's how they called. Then the next thing, what you can do, you can just simply delete the data from S3. That helps very often to reduce the cost. Next thing is, if you're using the EC2 instances for the compute, what you might consider doing is getting into spot instances if your workloads allows that, or if you can't, you can go with reserved instances that usually also could save you some money. Yes, go on premises. I totally agree. But so I had a conversation actually about that recently, and we sort of like, okay, this is how much we'll need to spend for the compute, and we were like, and like, well, we could move on premises, but then we have the other problems to solve, and this other problem is the data replication between data centers. Like, and I was like, well, is our networks actually able to do that? And then I didn't get a defined answer, and I said like, okay, that's the reason why I'm staying in AWS, because like we need the data to be moving from both data centers, and AWS basically just gives us for free. Well, not for free, then we pay of course much more on the EC2 instances and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's fine. No, it's not fine. It's expensive, but it's a trade-off which we need to make. So if we would have like a very good, yeah, we just need to have much bigger network between our data centers to be able to support the workloads which we're doing. Reduce S3 storage size. Shift data to different storage classes, move to Glacier. For EC2, change to spot instances or go reserved ones. And also because of like a bigger, broader, we actually get a pretty decent prices on the cloud provider. Your approach is practical and address some key strategies, optimization allows. So okay, so storage optimization, compute optimization, cost monitoring alerts. I mean that's true. Like if you don't know how much you're spending. Oh, you know what is really, really funny is that when the great tools like the ones with the like with the S starts with S and the ones with starts with D, like they're so amazing, but then you have so many small startups which says like, what, we will optimize your cost, we'll reduce your expenditure. And then basically you realize if all the startups, what they do is checks if how to reduce your cost. So maybe these tools are not really that great if they cost so much. So what do you do, like, like if you can you share, like, for example, I'm just curious, like, for example, at work, right? So I checked your title, right? But like just trying to figure out what products to create. Is that the thing, like basically what other people would want? Or you know what, don't answer, we will have a chat, we will have a Discord call and we can talk about that some other evening. Is that okay with you? Because it's already too late, and I actually would be very, very eager to talk to you about, like, like what you guys, like what you particular doing, like sort of like, yeah, perfect. Let's do that some other evening. Not today, is a little bit too late for me, I'll be leaving soon, but like maybe tomorrow or like next week whenever I see you. I really, really interested, like, so I personally yeah, I'm just kind of like interested, like what people like you would be doing, in the organization, and sort of like, because it feels like you're the ones, who dictates what is the next product and what is available out there. Yeah, I think that's really cool. How do you prioritize data migration and moving from on-premises environment to the cloud, ensuring minimal downtime, data integrity? Uh, yeah, I it's so there is so many different how, I don't know, like, give me the answer, or is it like there is many answers? Here's how you might approach data migration. Oh, you might planning, right? Lift and shift. Okay, I don't know about these ones. Okay, lift and shift. For relatively straightforward migration, lift and shift approach may be used where data is moved as is from the on-premise to the cloud. This method can be fast but may take full advantage of cloud native features. Data replication, with data replication technique to keep on-premises, database, hybrid solution. So what is the difference between the lift and shift and the data migration? It's just like you're still moving the didn't get it. Data integrity, security, cut over, go live. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally agree. I'm thinking now. There is a migration, but there is a migration, not the data. The data. So we did a massive migration. The migration of the data was an easy part. What took most time is the migration of the workloads. No, that's not the problem. So as I mentioned, like, moving data was easy, but then you need to move all the ETLs, and that what takes time. So now if you're changing the technology, you need to rewrite these ETLs, and this is what take a ton of time to do. So this is what basically is so when this is why I think this is why I'm kind of like, like, oh, moving data is not really hard. It's not the data movement, but like there is so many technology out there which you can use to move any kind of data, right? Like you can, it's just you can take any data and basically just let Trino read it, right? Or like anyone else read it. Like it's just like all the open formats, unless you're using Snowflake, then it's a little bit trickier, but still doable. Actually, it's very easy to do there as well. The biggest problem is then what you get is you get two systems running together where there is a process which just moves these data sets from the old to the new. And then until you would cut up your ETLs, that basically takes a ton of time. That's what takes the most time. Next question. Oh, by the way, have you heard the company which starts with D bought Tabular? Was it like 2 billion deal? That's crazy. I think that's a good. I think that was a good call, though. I think what they were doing is really, really great. I think, yeah. And another thing, yeah, another thing, like, have you seen the Trino community that just said that they will not be supporting the, no, not this way. Trino community version will be releasing its new versions on the hottest Java versions. So it means that it would not stick to the TLS versions or TSL versions, you know, the sort of like the long-lived standard versions with the stuff, but they actually would go with every new Java release, right? And I got some heat from our architecture. They like, what the F? Like, why are you using this application if they're doing something like that? They are very immature. I was like, look, man, I think they are mature enough. What they're doing, so what they're doing is they basically, yeah. So right now the newest version is in Java 22. Not even Java 21. You cannot run it in Java 21. So what they're saying is that they're saying that, well, if you really want to run, you know, like in the TLS version, what you need to do, you need to speak with the commercial providers, and they most likely will have a solution for you. In other words, there is this commercial provider called Starburst, which most likely will have a solution for you. Still, Trino is a great product. We decided to basically freeze our version releases. We'll just wait for until next November until we get Java 25, and we'll just grab the newest version. At least that's our plan for now. I mean, why they don't yeah, it's, they never ask any questions like that, right? Like, for example, like, imagine a job interview. I should ask, right? Like, hey, what would you do if you know, like, an open source product which you use suddenly announced that they will not be that they will be releasing on the newest hottest version? Like, how would you react into all of that? What you would do? I don't know, or some smarter way. But like, this is just like, yeah, it's I don't know. It's fun. It's good. I mean, I'm happy for them. I think it's a great idea how to monetize a great product, or how to monetize more a great product. So why not? I hope that, I mean, I really hope that will work for them. Okay, last question. How do you handle data privacy and compliance requirements when designing data systems, especially in this with strict regulations like healthcare and finance? Data bubbles and socks, in my opinion. Makes sense? Yeah. So I think, so what, I don't remember what version we are, but we actually tried to get the latest for 21, and we found a decline in performance, so we downgraded a couple of versions now down. We still didn't have a chance to look into for the actual reason why the performance boost, like why the performance declined, but yeah. So anyways. Yeah. Anyway, I think I am calling it a day. It's already late. I still need to put family to beds. Once again, man, thank you for joining. I will reach out to you and we'll have a Discord chat some evening. Sounds good? And for now, just over and out.